Tengok tu ni lah. You said of love. Wala. Hindi mo sige bigyan na rin. Sabi ko. Pati. Igor, agora vai essa. Hello, I'm outnumbered. Nessa alfa dessa força. Like how about them still? I'm just gonna look at next thing now. Oh, see there? See there? Don't you change? We just get a sniper now. Why never have a sniper this game, yeah? Uma dia bucha só. wait. I'm team. Come here. Oh. Ah, oh, jump. Hey. I want to pick up. No? I want to pick up my person. Come on. I'll take medicine. Medicine is good for you. Everything done? Yeah. That's it. Lagi mana dia? Lagi mana yang kisi ya? Next lagi mana? Meninggal. Mau mana lah itu belum kan itu. Bomba malan ni saya ni. Ya mana lan fast bela. Ya so fast malan pada awal. Why sudah. Buat beda malan. Malan fast lah bela ni. Mesti ni mana rasa no. Mesti lagi sini. Bisa mana depan ni sampul kes saya dia. See, I don't feel like this one run. Whoa! Now you get shot. Watch I come closer so you can shot me. I met up. Saya kom closer so you can shot me. I shot gun now reach me house party. Yeah, shot gun yan. Shot gun yan. Every night shot go for the D like that. Wow. Tell him that it's even nature. Well, you see us. Blue chase mati go. I'm this. Bomba, jetpack boy. He jetpack boy up as a murder me dog. Jetpack boy is disgusting man. When you jump in the stuck in a ear. When we can count time. I go feel me now. Me I go feel much men in blood. I'm saying when I tell you say land fast before me now. I'm going there saying party there so. Party behind me. In party. I will keep it there so. Man ugly. Ugly man brother man. Yeah, we. You have zip line so watch yourself. On different team up there, watch your head. Come on, jump down fire there. Different team, you know, different team today, and I mean everything, you know. And it's jetpack, man. What's up? Oh, but how can I go this? No, sir. Me I did too hard now. Team, I demanded a team that I create team that give me problem. But just go now. Macam sahabat lah. Tu tak bersih mana apa. Mana? Yang berapa? Apa tu? Oh, yang paling ingat shot ni sudah nu kan? Mana sama. Yo. Ini yo. Tidak kalbi? Oh no, minus na mista. No, no bayar. Tadi. Oh, ini man. Dia man. For the same night. Vamos go. Dia man this back that. Yeah, no, yeah, we know. I'm sure what but fix for the house. One in here. That's student. But I work extreme better than fun. Come on. It looks 2 weeks after me now. But I planting. You need plan to do it before. You need plan to do it before me, man. Huh? Alright. Yan naman sa planting sa bahay. Napa-plant mo ito ni Fort pero but I say, yeah, wala planting. I say, yeah, wala planting, no some sense. Because hindi don't plant say, man, wala fire but me always say, me wala for a long time, so you know what I'm saying. But the time, it may be time I can have. Yeah, see me, first, we go drinking Campari. I need a light song. Chicken, them a group up. How are you there? Nah, man. See, man, do the same thing like girls do. Up, get a wine up, get my bubble and a wine up. So I know what she's saying up. After that much now, I found it, so I want to try to get that. Oh, footsteps are away, so I'm cek Pak Gadio. Whole team bomba shots. Tuan shot pa me. Yeah. Oh, tuan ni gun ni pa me. What? Ini memang kami dia shot. Let's go there. Looks funny this one. I'll try to get some can paradigm. Sacrificing figure third wood. Okay, Baba fast though. I land back on the tree. No, man. The tree right as well? You in that tree all time, next boy? Enough up there. Revenge is sweet. Ya, están poniendo. Más sniper yang isi sniper. Di sini. Oi. Wow. What's up? Oh, mama, das sind Jaffa yung bina. Oi. Dem mana real. Oi, somebody snipe me down. Go on, cut. Cut if I can cut. That much. That man there, it's the same man there you shot. That man there, he can kill me. He shot me with the mama time and shake me out. Yeah, what I got there, you know. Kill him. Boom, boy, couldn't catch him, this man. Some look there. Yeah, you look alright. I'm my phone. Yeah, I'm prone. Oh. Oh, I missed it. Okay, don't enough flag on. What am I doing? Listen. I'm just gonna kill him. Ini. Knock him. Udah sih bunuh. Boleh doanya beda, boleh doanya. Woi. Tenang, cancel kemana? Are you preparing the bomb? 150 after that, 150, one shot to left. Take him around. The man up on the hilltop, he party up there, so just in the fire just flat. So just put. I will leave. Behind you. Mas coming up? Oh, Milan. Milan, yeah. Shot to the top blue. Não, tô achando que ele. Beleza. Não, você não tem tempo. Makom. Bomba! Slide away, I never expect to keep it slide while ago. Let's alone, hang on. Now, take up me. After for so long. I see each other. Hit it in. No. Huh? That's it. No, I want to buy gas. Yeah, buy gas. Easy. Stavo accendendo. Mi butta, vai no. I catch me. Whoa! Come on, go shine. Gotcha. And what's it on? Yo. So far, no, check that one. I be with our son. As if. I just want more match when you get the skin one. Never? Right back there. What is it? What is it? If we don't correct me. Nope. Azil, get up. Nope. Atama.
Hey guys, Chris Fix here, and today I'm going to show you how to super clean the interior of your car. We'll be using Susan, the vandalized car, as one example, because the interior of this car is a mess. It is covered in dirt, quite literally covered in dirt and mud, and that's because it was vandalized. But not everybody is going to have a vandalized car, so I also have my sister's daily driver. This is the more typical dirtiness that you'd probably find in your car. So between this car and the vandalized car, we have plenty of amazing examples, so I could show you how to super clean the interior. So let's get started. And this video is going to show you how to clean the dashboard, specifically the dashboard vents, the gauge cluster, the infotainment screen, all the knobs and buttons, and the steering wheel. Then I'll show you how to clean the door panels, which in this car are really bad. After that, we'll clean the center console, which is also really bad with melted candies and who knows what this gooey mess is inside here. And finally, we're going to finish up by cleaning the glass, so let's get started. Now to clean all that, here are the tools and products that you're going to need. I tried to keep it simple. Product-wise, we have our cleaners, we have our protectors, and we have a glass cleaner specific to glass because we don't want streaks and we don't want to damage the tint. I'll cover more about that when we go over the glass, but that is it product-wise. Tool-wise, again, trying to keep it simple, but very important. I highly suggest that you pick yourself up some of these brushes. Brushes are gonna make the difference between clean and super clean. Trust me on that, you'll see the difference. And besides brushes, just a bunch of microfiber towels, and that's really it. Now you see some other products here. You don't need these, but I'm gonna go over them because they do help out a lot, and they're not very expensive, including this vacuum attachment, which helps get you into those tight places to remove dust and dirt. We have this, which helps get you into the tight places when you clean the windshield, between the windshield and the dash. Super helpful. Again, not completely necessary. And then finally, a steam cleaner. This might be necessary on this car because it is disgusting in that center console, and I want to kill all the bacteria, all the mold and everything that could have built up in there. I want to make sure not only is it clean, but it's sanitary, and this is going to help sanitize. But that's all the tools and products that you're going to need. I'll be sure to link all these in the description so you can easily find them. The idea is to keep it affordable, to keep it simple, and that's it right there. So let's go get started. All right, to start the super clean, it's important to roll down your windows to prevent any oily protectants from getting on them, which is a pain to clean off. You're also going to want to disconnect the battery since the doors are going to be open, and you don't want to drain the battery. And finally, we need to remove the seats so we have more access to the interior. So with the seats removed, the last thing we need to do in the preparation step is to clean out the center console. And there is a ton to clean in this car. The center console is loaded with melted candies, junk, and just disgusting sticky change. Ugh. So make sure you clean out the entire center console in your car, and hopefully it isn't as bad as this sticky mess. I can't wait to get this cleaned up. So next up, let's clean the dashboard, and I have a bunch of tips and tricks to make the dashboard come out amazing. So real quick, here's the 3-step process I use to clean the dash. First, we're gonna remove all the dust from the dash. After that, we're gonna clean the dash. We're gonna remove the stains and all that dirt that's on there. After it's clean, we're gonna do one final step and protect the dash. That way, in the future, we don't get any cracks, we don't get any fading, and it'll look great for years to come. That's all you need to do to super clean your dash, so let's get started. And I like to start by cleaning the vents. A lot of people skip this because it's difficult to get to everything in here, but these carry a lot of dust. They don't look good if they're not cleaned. So the trick to cleaning vents is to use a brush like one of these. I personally like to use this brush. It's inexpensive and it has these microfiber fingers that make it easy to get into the vent. So let me show you how to clean this. Okay, so start off by brushing the vents with the vacuum nearby to suck up any dust that we brush off. Then you want to use the other end of the brush to clean each of the fins in the vent. And you can really see how awesome this works to get in between each of the fins and really get it clean. Just look at all the dirt and dust we removed. Now with that, we were able to clean the fins on the vent, and we were able to get in there just a little bit, but how do you get deep in there? Well, you could get yourself one of these vacuum attachments that basically has a bunch of straws on the end, and this will let you get really deep in there and get out all that dust. So just connect the vacuum attachment and fit the straws between the vents, and you can see how well this works to get in there deep. Like the brush we just used, this is just another tool that works amazing for removing dust, not only on the surface, but deep in the vents. And this is gonna give them that extra clean. And check that out, that looks really good. I don't see any more dust, and that's way better than what it was before. All right, so now we can just finish up removing the dust from the rest of the vents, and so you have a good idea of the difference. Here's a before, and here's an after. Next, we need to dust the rest of the dash, and to do that, I'm gonna use a microfiber towel that has a high pile. Now, a high pile are these long fibers sticking out of the microfiber towel, and these are helpful because it traps dirt and dust. There's just more surface area for it to cling to. And instead of dusting dry, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab just plain old water, and I'm gonna wet this down, but never use any sprays inside the interior of your car. Now, this is just water, so it's not a big deal, but once we start using cleaners, we don't want the mist to get all over the interior of the car because we can't control the mist. It's gonna get on the glass, it's gonna get in places that we don't want it to be. So start practicing now, even if it's just water, on spraying outside the car. So we're gonna lightly mist this down, and if you're inside the car, you can spray, but make sure you're spraying directly into the towel like that, so it's not getting everywhere. And after this is just slightly damp, we are ready to go and dust the dashboard. So just lightly glide the towel across the surface of the dash, and the damp fibers of the towel are gonna pick up the dust and remove it from the dash. And it's so satisfying seeing the dust get picked up and leaving behind a nice dust-free dash. Also, don't forget to clean the dust off the infotainment screen and the surrounding area, like so. And also down here where the buttons and the dials are, use a brush to dust that up and get it nice and dust-free. All right, so now we're gonna remove the dust near the steering wheel and gauge bezel, and I have a couple very important tips and tricks so that you don't scratch up the plastic lens on that gauge bezel. The first tip is never, ever, ever use a paper towel, a napkin, a tissue, anything dry to wipe down or dust your gauge bezel. That is guaranteed to cause visible scratching. What I recommend you doing is getting a very soft microfiber towel that is lightly misted with water, and all you're gonna do, very light pressure, put it on the gauge bezel and just swipe straight across. And you can do it the other way as well. Again, very light pressure and just swipe straight across just like that. As long as your microfiber towel is clean, it's a little damp, and it's very soft, you won't get any visible scratching. And one more thing I want to quickly mention. You might be tempted to use compressed air to blow away any of the dust over here, but don't do it. You could blow the dust underneath the gauge bezel and get behind that gauge bezel. The only way to clean the dust if it gets behind there is to take that entire gauge cluster out, remove that plastic bezel, and dust it off. Definitely don't make the mistake of using compressed air. And just take a look at that gauge bezel. That looks amazing. So that is how you properly dust and clean a gauge bezel. That way you don't cause any scratches at all. Now real quick, what happens if you use a paper towel on this? Well, let me show you. So right here I have a very nice Honda del Sol gauge bezel, and I'm gonna grab a paper towel and wipe down an area just so you can see what kind of scratches it creates. Okay, so here's a dry towel, and I'm gonna lightly wipe back and forth in this area so you can see our damage from the paper towel, which is that right there. And just to show you, a microfiber towel isn't gonna damage it like we did with that paper towel. I'm gonna go right next to it. It's a damp microfiber towel. I'm gonna press hard, which you're not supposed to. And after that water evaporates, you can see there is no scratching at all where I just pressed over here. Let's try the same thing with a brush. And actually, you can see there is a little bit of light scratching on there. Not as bad as the paper towel, but still not good. So as they say, the proof is in the pudding. That's exactly why I like doing simple tests like this. This way you guys get to see real life results. So stick to using your microfiber towel that is lightly misted with water to dust off the gauge bezel so you don't get any scratches. Next, let's move on to the cleaning step. Now, it's very important you find yourself a cleaner that cleans all the different materials you could find on your dash. We have vinyl, we have plastic, we have metal, we have all the buttons and dials and the little printed designs on them, the infotainment screen, and I think you get the idea. We don't want to mess any of this up. So you want to use something mild, or find yourself something that's specifically made for the interior, and it'll tell you on the instructions what it'll work on. Now, this will work on everything except suede. We don't have any suede in here, so we don't have to worry. Now, before you go spraying down the dash and cleaning it up, remember, those little spray droplets aren't controllable. If you spray inside the car, it's gonna go up onto the glass. It's gonna go in places that you don't want it to. So what I like to do is I like to get my brush. This is my cleaning brush. I labeled it so I don't mix it up with any of the other brushes. You just get the cleaner right in there and spray it a couple times just so you have a bunch of cleaner. Then brush the cleaner into the dash, and don't be afraid to really saturate that dash. It's gonna help dissolve the dirt, and as you brush, it's gonna lift it off. Now, I recommend a brush over a towel because the brush is gonna get into the crevices. Here's an up-close look of the brush in action on this textured surface. The bristles are really gonna get in there and clean that dirt out. Just to show you, I'll wipe it down, and look at that. So here was the before and after. So like I said, trust me, start using brushes to clean and detail your interior, and you're gonna see a huge difference. Brushes are good because they also help you get into those tight spaces like right here where the dash meets the glass, so you're able to clean the entire dash. Now after you're done cleaning, don't let this dry because the dirt is just gonna dry onto the dash. Immediately wipe up all this with an absorbent microfiber towel. This is gonna pull the dirt and cleaner off the dash, leaving behind a completely clean dash. And check it out. So this is nice and clean. And I cleaned the entire dash pad all the way to the driver's side. So this whole thing is clean. Now let's move on to the infotainment system. So here I like to start with the screen and work my brush into the corners where the screen meets the plastic. A lot of times dirt collects here and it's hard to get to with just a towel. And don't worry, this brush isn't gonna scratch the screen like the gauge bezel. This screen is actually designed to be touched, so it's more durable. Then I like to immediately wipe off the screen so the cleaner doesn't dry and cause any streaking or staining. Then we could clean the rest of the dash with our brush, making sure that you're getting into the vents and just touching every single surface. And finally, we could wipe it down with the towel to remove the dirt and dry it off. Then the next thing we're cleaning are all these buttons and dials down here, and as you can imagine, the brush works amazing at getting into all the nooks and crannies. And don't forget to pay attention to the details, like this dirty textured surface on the gear selector knob. A toothbrush works amazing to agitate and loosen up that dirt from the knob. And this is something you're going to touch every time you get into the car, so it's important that it's cleaned. Also check the crevices where the dial meets the plastic. Dirt gets trapped in here, and it just makes the car look old and used. When you pay attention to the little details like this, your interior is going to look brand new when you're done cleaning it. Alright, so give it one last wipe down. Good. So with all the buttons and knobs clean, they look great. Our dash is coming out amazing. The last thing to clean is the steering wheel. Honestly, the steering wheel isn't that dirty. And just like the rest of the dash, all you need to do is brush it down with some cleaner. Then after you're done doing that, you could wipe it all up. And check it out, the steering wheel is looking amazing, but it didn't really take that much to make it look great because it wasn't very dirty. And I want to show you guys how to super clean a really dirty steering wheel. So I'm gonna show you how to clean the steering wheel in my sister's car because this has a very common dirtiness to it. Something that, if you take a look at your steering wheel, I bet you'll see, and that is all of this discoloration. The steering wheel should be gray, like a dark gray, almost black, and you can see that light gray in there. It almost looks worn down. It almost looks like the leather or the vinyl is worn out, but it isn't. That is actually dirt. Just think about it. As you drive, you're not going to be wearing gloves. You drive bare hand against the steering wheel, and every time you drive, you're touching the steering wheel. That's a lot of contact. Now, the oils, the skin cells, any moisturizer, dirt, grime, grease, whatever's on your hands is going to get transferred to the steering wheel over time. And that's how it gets so dirty like this. So let me show you how to safely clean this off. That way, your steering wheel looks brand new. And the reason why I say safely is because you don't want to use a product that creates a greasy or a slick finish. This isn't greasy, but it definitely creates a slick finish. So you wouldn't want to use something like this because you want to be able to grip onto your steering wheel. So to clean the steering wheel, we're going to quite simply just use some soapy water. So spray the soapy water onto a microfiber towel and clean off that dirt from the steering wheel. Soapy water is a degreaser, so that works really well for dissolving this greasy dirt. I mean, just look at this. Holy smokes, what a difference. So now just do the same thing. Use soapy water and rub it down with a towel to remove all that nasty, greasy dirt from the surface. And look at all the dirt we removed. Now we need to pay attention to the details, like this dirt stuck in the stitches. To remove this, grab a toothbrush with soapy water in the bristles and gently brush the stitches. The bristles get in there to those hard-to-reach spaces, and it's going to clean up the steering wheel that much better. Then we could wipe the area down with the microfiber towel to absorb all that dirt and water, and the results speak for themselves. Just take a look at how great this came out. Also, we can't forget about the face of the steering wheel where the horn and all the buttons are. So same thing here, we're brushing it down and then wipe it away to clean it off. And that's all there is to it. A little bit of soapy water and this steering wheel looks brand new. Check this out. All the stitching looks new, the base of the steering wheel looks new. It just looks so good, and it's not greasy, it's not slippery, so it's safe. All right, so now that's how you clean a steering wheel. Let me show you real quick how to properly clean the turn signal. And cleaning turn signals is super easy, but very important. The most important thing is this right here. Any printed on or painted on symbols like that for your high beams, that comes off super easy. So use a soft microfiber towel with soapy water because it's nice and mild. And just lightly wipe back and forth to rub any of that dirt off, but not damage the high beam symbols. Good, and check out this before and after. And just as an example, on this stock here in my truck, you could see the symbols are faded, and that's because I used an aggressive cleaner and I rubbed a little bit too hard. I caught myself, but I already faded half of this. I did this a long time ago and I learned my lesson ever since. So with the dash and the steering wheel completely clean in both of the cars, there's one more attention to detail I want to show you, located right under the dash. And that is cleaning your pedals. We're gonna be cleaning the brake pedal and the gas pedal. You can see how they get all dirty in there, and that looks horrible. Now it's very, very important. Again, same as the steering wheel, do not use anything greasy. Don't use anything that gets this slick. You need maximum grip when you're pressing on the brakes. And the same thing goes for the gas pedal. So since our carpets are clean, put a towel under the pedals to catch any dirt or cleaner. Then get your brush with soapy water and brush away. These bristles are gonna get into all the hard to reach places like the indents in the rubber, and that makes all the difference with how this is gonna look. Now we can wipe down the pedal with the towel and take a look at that. So do the same thing with the gas pedal, brush it real good, and then wipe it down. Now here you can see there's still rocks stuck in the rubber, and that really stands out. So get a small screwdriver or a pick like this and get all those rocks and dirt out. This might seem silly, but trust me, details like this make all the difference in making the interior of your car look super clean. And once it's clean, give it one last wipe down, and here's a before and after. Beautiful. And there you go, the dashboard is looking amazing. The gauges are nice and clean, our steering wheel's clean, and those pedals are clean. So now we can move on to the next step, and that is to protect the dash. And to do that, we're gonna be using a protectant with UV inhibitors like this. Now it's very important, we do not wanna use a high gloss protectant. We wanna use a natural shine, a low gloss or a matte protectant, because this is our dash. There's a lot of lights from cars, from the sun, from street lights. We don't want that reflecting into our eyes, and a high gloss finish will do exactly that. So trust me, don't use high gloss, stick to the natural shine, and that's what we'll be using. Why not? Let me show you the difference between a high gloss shine and a natural shine so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, this side's gonna be the natural low gloss shine, and this side's gonna be the high gloss shine. So apply the protectant onto the panel, and then buff it off with a clean towel, and follow the exact same process on the other side. And you can totally see the difference already between the two. I'm gonna remove the tape, and look at that, there's actually a line that shows the difference. So we have our low gloss and then we have our high gloss. And they both look great. They both do the same exact thing. They both protect with UV inhibitors. It just depends what you like better. Now on the dash, definitely stick with low gloss so you don't get blinded. On everything else, I personally like that high gloss look. It's not crazy high gloss, but it looks good, it looks new, so that's what I'll do for the rest of it. But for the dash, we're gonna stick to low gloss. So there you go, look at that difference, that's awesome. Let's go get started and protect the dash. Okay, so spray your low gloss protectant onto your brush and work that protectant into the dash. Make sure you use a lot of the protectant to really saturate the dash and let that dash absorb that protectant. And be sure to hit every spot of the dash, that way the finish will be even. Now when you're adding the protectant where the windshield and dash meet, take your time here. You don't want to get any of this protectant on the glass because it's going to be a pain to remove. And the brush definitely makes it easy to get into these tight spaces, which is nice. Now you're going to want to let it sit for a minute or two, and then after that you could buff off the protectant with a clean microfiber towel. And if your dash is really faded, using a protectant is going to make a night and day difference. It'll make your dash look brand new, so if your dash is faded, definitely give this a try. Perfect. Okay, so we protected the entire dash pad all the way across to the driver's side. That's looking amazing. We didn't get any of that protectant on the glass, which is a good thing. Now let me show you how to protect the infotainment system. Now I think you get the idea of the protecting process. For the infotainment screen, the only thing you need to do is make sure that you don't get any protectant on the screen because it can stain. And if you do get some on there by mistake, just buff it off with a clean microfiber towel right away. Now this looks awesome, but remember, this is all about paying attention to the details. And if we look right here, you see that? You see that little white speck? That is some dirt stuck between the two pieces of trim, and we want to remove that because little things like that make all the difference between how clean this actually looks. So get in there with the bristles of your brush. Beautiful. And look at that. That looks so much better. For the buttons and dials, it's the same process, but here I'm using the high gloss protectant to give it a shinier finish, which I personally like better. And since it's lower on the dash, we don't have to worry about the glare from the sun or streetlights. I just love how this brings back that deep dark color to the faded plastics. It looks amazing. So with that looking beautiful, we are almost done. One more thing left to do, and that is definitely not the steering wheel. We do not want any protectant on here because it'll make it slippery, but that doesn't mean we can't protect the plastic behind the steering wheel. So lower the steering wheel to get more access, and all of the plastics back here are fair game to protect, including the vinyl boot of the steering column. Just don't get any of that protectant on the gauge bezel, and don't get it on the steering wheel. And finally, as you buff all this off, one spot many people miss is the gap between the steering wheel and the base. Dust gets in here, dirt gets in here, it makes it look old and used. So get your towel and floss in this gap. Trust me, it makes all the difference with how clean this car is gonna look when we're done. So there you go, that is how you clean and protect your dash. All this over here, I know it's a little extensive. There's a lot of different pieces between the buttons, the infotainment system, the steering wheel, the gauges, all this stuff. There's a lot of little bits and pieces, but that is how you clean everything. It's super simple, and look at these results. Even if your car isn't that dirty, it's just a little bit older and needs to be touched up, trust me, it will look amazing after you clean and protect it. Plus, it's protected so you don't have to worry about the dash fading anymore. It'll bring it back to life, and it just looks absolutely incredible. Look at that. Now there's one more thing I want to show you because I don't see any gloss plastics in here. It's mostly just this vinyl plastic. We have a little bit of like matte plastic, but some cars have a gloss finish to it, almost like a clear coat on the interior. For example, the interior of this Maserati has a bunch of gloss surfaces. So how do you clean them? Well, I like to treat it the same way I would treat a painted surface. I like to use a waterless wash and wax, and it has the wash in it so it'll clean it, and then it has the wax in it so that it'll protect it. So make sure you use a clean microfiber towel and apply a bunch of the waterless wash and wax right to the towel. Then you're gonna lightly buff it onto any of the gloss plastic surfaces, mostly this wood trim right here. Let it sit for a minute, and then get a clean dry part of your microfiber towel and lightly buff it off. Ooh, baby, and look at that. That looks so good. So any gloss plastic interior pieces, that is how I like to clean and protect them. Quick one-step process, and we could clean all of the gloss plastics in the car, including the door panel gloss plastics. Now, speaking of the door panel, let's move on to the next step. All right, so next up, let's clean the door panels. And this is about as bad as it gets. The door panels on this car are horrible. They are covered in mud and dirt. So let me show you how to get this all clean. Now, the good thing is this is a very similar process to how we clean the dash. So we're gonna apply the same exact concept. So let's start by vacuuming the dirt out of the fabric so we could clean this. Also vacuum up the door pocket up here and the pocket down here and get all that junk out of there. Good. Now it's time to clean the door panel, and just like the dash, use a cleaner and a brush to get into all those tight places and textured surfaces. This includes window switches, and a brush works amazing on these. We also want to